It is a big day in China today. The Communist Party of China kicked off its twice-in-a-decade Congress. The week-long meeting is the party's most important political event. President Xi Jinping opened the Congress with a nearly 2-hour-long speech. Given the events leading up to the crucial Congress, as expected, the key focus of the Chinese president's speech was Taiwan and China's reunification. Speaking before nearly 2,300 delegates of the Communist Party, Xi vowed a major struggle against separatism and interference in the self-ruled island, not ruling out the use of force. Xi emphasized that complete national reunification can be and must be achieved.
面对台独势力分裂活动和外部势力干涉台湾事务的 严重挑衅，我们坚决开展反分裂、反干涉重大斗争，展示了我们维护国家主权和领土完整、反对台独的坚强决心和强大能力。
Predictably, this part of Xi's speech prompted the biggest applause from the attendees. Reacting to Xi's remarks, the Taiwanese presidential office released a statement saying Taiwan will not back down on its sovereignty or compromise on freedom and democracy, adding that its people clearly oppose Beijing's idea of one country, two systems. The statement further added that meeting on the battlefield is absolutely not an option for the two sides of the Taiwan Strait. The issue of unification of Taiwan remains a challenge for Xi Jinping. Various Chinese leaders have tried to resolve the issue in the past, but with no avail. In the late 70s, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping proposed a plan to unify China and Taiwan under the one country, two systems policy. Under the plan, the island could follow its capitalist economic system, run a separate administration and keep its own army, but under Chinese sovereignty. Taiwan, however, rejected the Communist Party's offer. The island has since been run as a separate entity from the mainland China, though Beijing never gave up its claim over Taiwan. The idea of two systems later applied to the territories of Hong Kong and Macau, under which both regions enjoyed a greater degree of autonomy. These special administrative regions of China have their own currencies, economic and legal systems, but defense and diplomacy are decided by Beijing. But in the recent years, China has achieved comprehensive control over Hong Kong. Calling the development a major turning point, Chinese President Xi Jinping said the situation in the region has turned from that of chaos to governance. Referring to the recent change in the city's governance, Xi added that the principle of patriots ruling Hong Kong was put in place.
全面准确 坚定不移贯彻一国两制、港人治港、澳人治澳、高度自治的方针，坚持依法治港治澳，落实中央全面管制权，落实爱国者治港、爱国者治澳原则。
With its great political theater in China, Xi Jinping is on the brink of absolute power. He will formally be handed another 5 years as a chief and therefore the leader of the country. It would confirm Xi as the most powerful man in China since Mao Zedong. But what would his extended term mean for Taiwan and Hong Kong? Well, remains to be seen. And for more on this, we are now being joined live by Jean-Pierre Cabeston from Hong Kong, who is Emeritus Professor at the French National Center for Scientific Research. Jean-Pierre, welcome to the program. Why do you think China is so adamant on both Taiwan and Hong Kong? And how long will this boisterous demeanor by Beijing last?
Well, China wants to achieve a full unification with Taiwan because that's the only condition to achieve another goal, which is the complete rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. So it's a pretty central and crucial nationalist goal. The problem is that it's based on the wrong assumption. It's based on the assumption that there is just one China. Well, there are two countries, actually. There is a People's Republic of China on the mainland, and the Republic of China, which has existed and survived on Taiwan since 1949. And so the only way forward, actually, is to accept there are two states. Maybe there is one Chinese nation, but there are two states. And as you know, most Taiwanese are opposed to the idea of one country, two system, which would put the Taiwanese under the jurisdiction of mainland China, exactly like Hong Kong and Macau. So the recent developments in Hong Kong and Hong Kong in particular has confirmed the Taiwanese in their opposition to the one country, two system formula. And I don't see any way for them to accept it. So it means that the only option, if really Xi Jinping wants to unify with Taiwan, is to launch a military operation. But the risks are, and the stakes are pretty high. So that's where we are. And unless mainland China becomes more creative and propose the Taiwanese another option, I don't see the Taiwanese accepting that deal.
Jean-Pierre, what's the fate of these territories going forward under Xi Jinping's rule, and what will be the impact of that?
Well, regarding Hong Kong and Macau, I would say the problem is solved. I disagree with Xi Jinping when he said that before there was chaos. There was no chaos in Hong Kong. I lived in Hong Kong for 20 years. There was no chaos. There was some violence in 2019 because the Chinese government was opposed to any democratization of the territory. So it was because the demonstrators, the pro-democracy forces were desperate that some of them resorted to violence. So the ones who are responsible for violence are the Chinese communists, not the pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong. So if we keep it in mind, I don't know how the Taiwanese can accept negotiate with mainland China a deal for themselves. Actually, Beijing just want to negotiate with the so-called patriots in Hong Kong. People are ready to cooperate with the mainland Chinese authorities. There are very few of them, even in the Kuomintang ranks, which is the major opposition party. There are very, very few people who are ready to negotiate with China under the one country, two system formula. They want to, as everyone in Taiwan, they want to protect the Republic of China's sovereignty and de facto independence, and negotiate a good relation with mainland China on an equal footing. So that's where we are, and I don't see any other solution that the peaceful coexistence of two Chinese states across the Taiwan Strait. Now, one additional factor we need to mention here, of course, is the United States. I think the Biden administration and Biden himself has repeatedly 4 times that he will defend Taiwan if Taiwan is attacked by the People's Liberation Army. So I think the stakes are high for everyone, mainland China, the US, and Taiwan. And the best interest of Xi Jinping is maybe to postpone unification to a longer future and to make a better proposal to the Taiwanese.
All right, Jean-Pierre, finally, and make this very brief, what's Xi Jinping's endgame on the territories in future, you think?
Well, he may be tempted to create some military tension and military crisis in order to gain something out of it. A blockade, I think, is maybe the most likely scenario if he wants to launch really a military operation against Taiwan. The problem is, what will he obtain from that? I doubt he will obtain much, but an even stronger resolution of the Taiwanese to remain separate from mainland China. So that's where we are, and what I hope is that within the Communist Party of China, there are more reasonable forces, more reformist forces, which are aware of the fact that unification is impossible under the one country, two system formula. The only way forward is a peaceful coexistence again of two Chinese states, maybe in a Chinese confederation, but that's something where you need more flexible and more open-minded leaders in mainland China to really envisage such a solution for the future.
Jean-Pierre, thank you very much for giving us time today.
My pleasure.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has written a letter to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The move comes in the backdrop of a historic Congress of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, according to the North Korean media reports, the Chinese president called for an enhanced communication, unity and cooperation in his letter. Xi Jinping expressed willingness to strengthen the relationship between China and North Korea and urged on defending peace and stability in the region and the rest of the world. The letter was sent in a response to a congratulatory message sent by the North Korean leader to the Congress as Xi Jinping sought his third five-year term as General Secretary of the Communist Party. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.